Hello everyone and welcome to B2B Purchase webinar on technology leap in mining and crushing. The global mining industry is under pressure. Falling commodity prices together with the rising environmental concerns is pushing the industry towards improving productivity by using more energy and cost-efficient technologies. Further, introduction of digital technologies are helping the mining industry in building a more comprehensive understanding of the resources base, optimizing material and equipment flow, improving anticipation of failures, increasing mechanization through automation, and monitoring performance in real time. Equipment for mining, crushing, and screening are thus becoming more productive, intelligent, yet green. Today, on this note, you are going to witness an engaging interactive session on technology leap in mining and crushing. Leading industry experts will review the technology transformation in the field of mining and crushing. They will also take a sneak peek at the futuristic developments in the field of mining that will help industrial manufacturers or mining contractors or mining miners to improve their practices. We are sure it's going to be very informative and useful for our attendees. Ladies and gentlemen, it's an honor and privilege for me to introduce you to today's distinguished speakers. Today we have with us Mr. Sumit Mitra, Director of Industrial Business at SKF India Limited, Mr. Devashish Khuntia, Head OTR at JK Tire and Industries Limited, Mr. R. Duraishami, Director Marketing at Propel Industries Private Limited, and Mr. Sanjeev Nayak, Managing Director Equipage in Infracore Private Limited. So welcome everyone. To take this session forward, I would like to invite our first speaker, Mr. R. Duraishami. A qualified Master of Engineering in Automobile with 35 years of rich experience in product development, Mr. Duraishami is currently designated as Director Marketing with Propel Industries Private Limited, which belongs to the 57-year-old Coimbatore-based AV Group. The company's product line includes a comprehensive range of jaw crushers, cone crushers, vertical shaft impactors, that is VSI, feeders, vibrating screens, sand washers, and air classifiers. Today, he is going to discuss about how the quarrying, especially the crushing segment, has evolved for the better in recent times. So let's welcome Mr. R. Duraishami.
So, as Mr. Subhajit already has introduced the industry, especially this crushing and screening industry, apart from all the other industries under pressure for the development to improve the productivity, to reduce the cost. So all this actually even more it's very important given the current situation of this pandemic. So every energy, that is every unit of energy that is saved is going to really save the industry. So I'll just in crushing and screening, what is that Propel has done, that I'll just briefly tell you. See, basically, any customer expectation will be the footprint. The footprint should be as less as possible because the land is going to cost. So then next comes the capital investment. So like lesser the cost and more the production is always better. Higher production, everybody wants higher production and better quality, low cost of production, and then reliability. It should the machine should work longer and then with the greater efficiency. Flexibility. The machines today the customers need a flexible line because today there will be a demand for a particular size of aggregate. Tomorrow there will be a different scene, and suddenly maybe places like Tamil Nadu and few states where already natural sand is restricted, their sand production they need more. So all these points are kept in mind, and then we have addressed these points one by one. I'll just tell you how. Suppose you take a typical 250 dph three-stage plan. It's just a small video. It looks like this. This is a conventional. So conventional like a three-stage plant with the stockpile. You can see it's a 250 dph plant. So stockpile is there. Then we can see cone and VSI, and then followed by a washing machine. So cone, you can see cone is there, VSI is there. and followed by the washing machine at the end, which produces your washed M sand and P sand. Basically, what happens in this type of plants, it is all like manpower dependent. Every stage, like jaw crusher station, primary station, secondary station, tertiary station, is each manned by person who is trained, and then that person ensures the efficiency of machine. So he has to really, like careful in ensuring that the machine is choke fed, continuously run. So he controls the machine, like the feeder parameters, and then ensures it. This sometimes what happens, this drops because it depends on the manpower who can be brisk and then you can be tired. Based on that, the efficiency drops, and also the accuracy of data also like goes. So what the solutions? See, for example, this very compact layout. We have already come out with very compact layout which saves nearly 30% of speed. You can see this is the before. So this is a kind of a typical layout. Next layout is this app now. So what happened? We have eliminated this surge bin, pant feeder. So in that, the cost also comes down, and we are able to do with the help of automation, we are able to ensure the machines are fully utilized. So, so the manpower dependency reduced, and then automation helps you to run the machines efficiently, to giving us the best possible production and quality. So this is the automation, and also apart from that, there are apps. So by which the dependency on manpower is totally reduced, because if one customer sees this app also we have developed. So by suppose if customer wants M-Sand, he just goes into the app and then just clicks it. So immediately the order comes to the concerned crusher, and then it moves, it goes to the production, it goes to the delivery department, it goes to the payment accounts. All that is done app based. Even the truck that comes for loading is also controlled and recorded, and the whole cycle from ordering to the delivery is controlled. Even the price that's calculated for transportation is calculated based on the distance from where you are. So everything, this kind of automation really helps to improve the industry performance, and the dependency on people by the owner, because the owner can just sit anywhere and then watch in his mobile what is happening. So we also then recently introduced HSI machine, which is also specifically used in some kind of rocks to produce more sand. Mainly softer rocks, and also with better, it produces better quality sand and then better production. And then also we have come out with a roll crusher, which also helps you to produce very high quantity of sand and with better quality. Even that also we have already come out, and then we have tested it successfully. So this is the roll crusher. So then multi-purpose cone. Actually, what happens? We have made the machines, such a way that it's very flexible. Within say 5 to 6 hours, you can convert this machine from normal machine to sander. That is predominantly produces sand, and then we can just return back also. This gives the flexibility for the customer. The same machine, only by changing few parts, which you can do it in 5 to 6 hours. Also, we are trying to launch. We have already launched BSI with 5-port, which helps you to produce higher quantity of sand with better quality. These are some of the machines that we produce, and then in the track, we have come out with unique technology that this are all dual powered. That is, most of the systems except the track, everything else is electrically powered. So the efficiency goes up, and the fuel consumption it helps you to improve your carbon output also, because the engine is going to run very effectively, and then it saves fuel. So we have come out with jaw crusher, cone crusher, VSI. Also, we are the only company which has come out with even VSI. Few companies produce VSI on track. This helps you to save energy and fuel this machine. So this is also successfully now working. Apart from that, we have made a vibrating screen on track. First time in the world, 4-deck machine, 1861 is the size, 1.8 meters by 6.1 meters. So we are able to come out with the new machine, which really helps, the field to produce 4 products successfully. So as I said, we are just focused on production and dual power. Reliability is addressed. Eco-friendly, I told you already. Lesser fuel consumption, and it can easily be switched from DG to EV, EV to DG. Wherever EV is available, we can just plug in the power and then we can run these machines. So we can call green track machines. And even the cone pressure runs also on motor power. See, as I said, what is the amount of diesel saving? This dual powered track vis-a-vis the hydraulic powered tracks. This is like a typical track plant. So then apart from that, like automation side, we have done a lot of things. So it is every parameter is monitored by electronics, and then it's able to help you to run the machine productively. Like CSS automation. This ensuring the machine the level sensor to run in choke feeding. These are some of the things which we, because of the time constraint, I'm just concluding it. So these are some of the things that we have done.
Now, in this session of B2B Purchase webinar on technology leap in mining and crushing, I would like to invite our next speaker, Mr. Sumit Mitra. Mr. Mitra is the Director of Industrial Business at SKF India Limited. He is a board member of Lincoln Helios India Limited, a 100% subsidiary of AB SKF, Sweden. Since joining SKF, Sumit has been responsible for driving strategic growth of the overall industrial business. He worked earlier in SKF India between 2005 and 2011 across various functions, including strategy, finance, HR, and also headed the reliability systems business in India. Today, Mr. Mitra is going to talk about the role of digitalization in increasing reliability in the mining operations. So let's welcome Mr. Sumit Mitra.
While Mr. Doraisamy spoke about the equipment, what I hope to convey to you is how we can keep those equipment running longer. So most of you know SKF as a bearing company, and I always like to start my presentation that's why not talking about bearings, because everybody knows SKF makes bearings, right? What we've done over the years is that we've acquired a lot of capabilities which are around lubrication systems, condition monitoring, digitalization, and services. And really what we do nowadays is try to focus on the complete cost of ownership of an equipment. And that has been enabled in the last few years quite significantly because of the progresses that we've had in digitalization. And this is across industries and across segments. So to start off, let's talk about what mining and crushing machines typically experience. And this is something that shouldn't come as a surprise to everybody who is attending this conference. Of course, first of all, there's very harsh working conditions with contaminated environments in terms of dust, in terms of foreign material coming in. There is a lot of variability in operating conditions, whether it's in loads and speeds and also in terms of environmental parameters. Sealing becomes a very important parameter in such kind of conditions, and as you know, bearings typically fail. They first start failing when there is ingress of water or contamination into the bearing, and that of course immediately impacts the equipment. Lubrication points typically are not always accessible, and failures are always associated with high downtimes and loss of production. And the other problem, which is not spoken about so far, but it's increasingly becoming a problem for the industry, is the lack of trained manpower availability. In terms of how we look at the business, what is the customer looking for? They're of course looking for improved productivity, which comes in terms of availability or in terms of reliability. They are talking about improved profitability in terms of reduced maintenance cost, being able to deliver on time. Self safety, health, and environment is more and more playing an important part for us. And of course, people are always looking at what is best in class, the best productivity, etc. Like Mr. Doraisamy mentioned, they go to the we are talking about the level of optimizing the distance that the truck will travel to deliver the finished product. And of course, the typically manufacturer or end users would like to focus more on operations rather than on maintenance. Now, while a lot of mechanical maintenance was being carried out over the years in terms of planned shutdowns or breakdown maintenance, I think maintenance as a function has undergone a sea change, and this has really been enabled in terms of first out of digitalization and secondly is the diagnostics. So what we commonly refer to industry 4.0 actually has two parts of it. One is the digital sensors and the second is the cloud where we upload the data, are able to do diagnostics and deliver back results. So how does, even you look at it, equipment and why this is so critical for the mining segment in particular, because you have very expensive machineries and your cost of downtimes are also extremely high. So whether it is mobile, whether it's standalone, whether it's a stacker reclaimer, whether it's a small excavator, or even the conveyor systems, the costs of all of this have a very high business impact in terms of profitability for the customer. How do we give this solution? And I'm talking more on the digital side rather than the mechanical side of the solution. So basically, if you look at the equipment, there are multiple parameters that you monitor. One is, of course, the operational data, which is in terms of what is your running time, what is your uptime, and stuff like that. There's how much you're crushing. The second is, of course, vibration data, which is being done through sensors that are mounted. But of course, there are other parameters which are what we call as process parameters, whether it's speed, displacement, torque, electric current, etc. What we have here is all of this data now needs to be put into a cloud. And why this is critical is because it is impossible to have this kind of diagnostic capability at every mining location or at every single equipment. By putting it on the cloud, what it ensures is that you have a central processing capability where you have trained engineers looking at the data and are able to give you meaningful decisions. That does not mean that you don't get the basic data at the site. So for example, if a vibration is going beyond the limit or if temperature is going too high, of course you will see it. And typically, like the automation systems that already exist take care of it. But really, if you look at vibration and you think what vibration is, you need to think about it more like an ECG of the heart. So just like a cardiologist is able to see your heart pattern and be able to predict a problem that is coming, even if you don't think there's a problem right now, that is exactly what our remote diagnostic center of condition monitoring does. So essentially there we are able to process this data and we are able to provide meaningful dashboards, diagnostics, advanced tools in terms of in case we, based on the data that is coming in, we think that some changes need to be done. We suggest that either in terms of repairs or it may be even large in terms of, say, because of recurring failures, we would recommend a change in design, maybe in housing, a different sealing solution, etc. And this data would be available to the customers, to the managers, to the planning teams, to the maintenance team, and in ops teams, different data depending on who needs to see what. I would just like to dwell a little on what exactly a remote diagnostic center does. So it first of all captures all the process data that is coming into the field. So that is vibration, lubrication, temperature. Then there is inspection data. Now this data may come not necessarily through sensors, but through like what we call as operator driven reliability. So the operator is the person who's always closest to the machine, and we can set up a way where they can monitor what is happening For example, there's a looseness somewhere, or there is excessive vibration in the foundation, etc. And they can put those data in, or a nut is getting loose somewhere. And third is, of course, the things related to operating conditions, whether it is running hours, whether it is load, and all the rest. Now, this data is also available for people who are at the site, or sometimes it is influenced by people who are at site, which is typically the automation systems that are existing at site. Now, the RDC cloud is what is accessed by SKF engineers. SKF engineers are people who are trained in understanding or making sense of all of this data and trying to come up with meaningful suggestions. Of course, they don't do all of it themselves, but currently we have very powerful diagnostic softwares, and we are currently developing a very powerful set of artificial intelligence tools which will be able to do this automatically. In fact, SKF has recently acquired an Israeli artificial intelligence company, and that is what we are doing. We are creating the digital twins, but we're creating the digital twins in a way that they're flexible. So we can model them based on the inputs or the historical inputs of the equipment, and then set it up. All this data is mined, and meaningful information is created out of that. So then we can share the intelligence with the customer, with of course the SKF team who's supporting the customer, and this enables a complete information exchange between SKF and the customer. Now, while all of this sounds very fanciful and doable, there has to be an end goal to this, and only having reliability as an end goal would not be sufficient. What we are trying to do is to take this one level further, and we are now driving a motto to our customers saying we will deliver zero surprise failures. Now, what does zero surprise failures mean? I mean, as any engineer knows, there is an MTBF, there is an MTTR, and no equipment can never fail. It is that what are the actions you take to prolong the failure, or how you take proactive actions or plan for them, so that you make the necessary changes in the equipment in terms of changing components, so that the failure doesn't happen in terms of surprise. So that is really what we focus on in terms of zero surprise failure. So from a customer, so what we do is we take the data, we do the diagnostics, we decide what are the actions to be done. In case of planned replacements that are there, we ensure that the bearings are being stocked either at our warehouse or with our distributors. They get delivered to site, and if required, we can also come and install the equipment, the bearing on the equipment, so we can give you the full value chain. So this is not just about selling a product or selling a digital solution, but it is to give you the full value chain. From the customer perspective, they are looking at a reduced overall cost per ton, a significantly extended bearing life because of early monitoring. Because like I said earlier, like the ECG of the heart, if you can measure things early, you can take corrective actions and go back and take the corrective actions early and prolong failures of equipment. Significantly reduce spends on maintenance operations, of course, and increase reliability and productivity. From SKF, with such partners, we are ready to invest in terms of the stocks, in terms of the complete monitoring hardware, in terms of our engineering expertise, and deliver a higher component reliability. So what we are trying to say is, just like we have currently models of Ola or Uber, etc., where the person is only using it for their function and they need not bother about the operation and maintenance of the equipment. That is exactly what we can offer. We can essentially take that over. But the main thing is, this complete solution is really enabled through the digitalization that takes place. I will just end with a couple of examples because of dearth of time. This is the one for crusher and vibrating screen. Important to understand that whenever we are talking about mining equipment, crushers, vibrating screens, while we measure vibrations, there's an inherent very high level of vibration. So you need specialized equipment for that, and those kinds of sensors, etc., are available with us, along with the complete enclosures, which ensure that the electronic equipment also works in a very aggressive environment. This is another big challenge that is typically there in mining operations, which is related to a stacker reclaimer. Typically, stacker reclaimer has issues related to low speeds. It has again a lot of operating conditions issues, including dust, etc. And we are able to do the complete monitoring and provide solutions around that.
So now, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to invite Mr. Devasis Kuntia of JK Tires. Mr. Devasis is head of OTR at JK Tire and Industries Limited, experienced head with a demonstrated history of working in the automotive industry. He is skilled in negotiation, business planning, operations management, sales, and people management. Today, Devasis is going to tell us how technology advancement in mining equipment and commercial vehicles are demanding for OTR tire makers. So, delegates, let's welcome Mr. Devasis Kuntia.
JK is a very diversified group, and tire is one of the major businesses of JK Group. And in tires, we are present in four brands. Two of them are in India, and JK Tires and Vikrant, we are present in India. And Tornel, we have a brand in Mexico. We have total 12 tire manufacturing facilities. Out of 12 manufacturing facilities, 9 are in India and 3 are in Mexico. And we have another tire brand called Valiant. We market out of Middle East. Now, coming to the range of tires that we manufacture tires starting from a 2-3 wheeler to large OTR tires. Small 2-3 wheeler tire will be by about few kgs, and the large OTR tire, the largest OTR tire that we manufacture is about 3.5 tons. So that is the kind of range we manufacture, and we have a leading R&D facility in Mysore also, wherein we invest a lot of money on creating technology products. We have heavily invested in immersive virtual technologies where virtual testing fields are created and the products are tested before release. And lot of in terms of IoT technology in not only in manufacturing and embedded products, but also we are working a lot of such technology products in providing after sales support to our customers. My topic, how technology advancements in mining equipment are going to how they are going to demand from the OTR tire manufacturers. As you have already stated, global mining industry under tremendous pressure, and mining is always been very dynamic. There has been a lot of currently mining is undergoing a lot of pressure because of the falling of the commodity prices, and at the same time a lot of environmental concerns are being raised. So now the point and the most challenge for miners is how this mining can be sustainable in the long term. To have a sustainable sustainable mining, I can talk about economic sustainability or social sustainability. These are the two things where miners are already working, and the third most important thing is ecological sustainability. So how these miners are making this their mining sustainable? They technology is going to facilitate making this mining sustainable, and innovation is going to be the key. Innovation in the form of formal innovations, or innovations can be informal innovations like Jugaad technologies, and which is available abundantly in India. So innovation is going to be the key in sustaining mining. So today, if you talk about any of these mining companies, what are their priorities today? How do they see mining future, how it is going to take shape, and how they are going to work on future mining? The topmost thing that comes to their mind is safe mining. They want to mine safe first. They want to be their people to be safe. They want their machines to be safe. They want their material to be safe. So technology is going to help them, and they are banking on a digital platform, creating more and more data, simulating the situations, and how they can that can influence that can enable them to create a very safe mining environment. And second most important thing that today the miners talking about or focusing is on lean mining. Lean mining is basically improving your productivity, or for every ton of ore that they mine, what is the amount of waste that they are going to create. So today they are focusing on how they can be lean, that is they create less of waste and more of ore. and how technology can going to help it, achieving this, how their digital platforms are, will enable them to achieve it. And third most thing for, important thing for miner is going to be, green mining. Green mining is basically, what is going to be their carbon footprint, or how, what is their, goal of, how they can achieve less and less, they can reduce in the long term, how they can reduce their, or how they can manage their carbon footprint. So they are, mining companies are focusing more on digital platforms to achieve, and today they are creating digital platform which will be more reliable, and which is more secure, because data is going to be very very important, because today they are deploying very sophisticated equipment. They're using so many, sensors technology, advanced instrumentation, so much of data is being generated. So the data that is being generated every few seconds, that is needs to be stored in secured platforms, and these digital platforms that they're creating, that needs to be, scalable, because they have multiple location, they are operating. At the same time, that has to be open, when new things can, they can accept, so many applications they'll be creating, so many suppliers, so many vendors, and so many let's say, equipment suppliers, they'll be coming up to their own systems. So that needs to be open, and at the same time it needs to be secure. So they are creating their own data architecture, how this data will be flowing within the organization, within the departments. Let's say, what data to be, going to the CEO, what data will be going to the finance, what data will be going to their, operators. So they are creating their data architecture, and they are creating data mining, how they can, the data can be more, they can converse more with the data, and they are using data analytics to, define their business. So tomorrow's business or tomorrow's mining is going to, the data analytics is going to define or decide the business of tomorrow. So they are using, all the tools, whether it is cloud computing, or whether it is mobile technology, whether it is automation, or autonomous. So they are utilizing to utilize, whatever, digital platform technologies that can be used. So today they are using fleet management softwares, the mine planning softwares. They are using, advanced tools for, tracking the asset performance, how the performance of the assets that can be improved. And today, talking about, advanced and autonomous systems, today, today we are in this 4G generation. Now 4G generation has brought in a concept called, human community, where human is able to communicate between through your Twitter, your WhatsApp. You are able to communicate with a friend who is sitting in USA, who is sitting in Europe. You are able to communicate with him. Similarly, the times today miners, they are talking about, or they are planning, when these these machines will be communicating with each other. That is, they are, moving ahead from autonomous equipments. They are moving ahead to autonomous systems. So the 5G generation, when the 5G is coming, that is going to create a machine community for them. When the machines will be communicating themselves, between themselves, the machines will be communicating. So that is the level of, digitalization, the mining today globally they are thinking about, and they are creating platforms where, this digital platform, digital transformation will, bring in efficiency to achieve their goal of, creating a safe environment for mining. They are simulating the situations, and they are, minimizing the chances of, getting accidents. They are getting into lean mining through all this. So data is going to be very very important going forward for the smart miners. So to meet, the demands of the smart miners, as a tire supplier, as a tire manufacturers, we are also, slowly gearing up, and we are also doing our bit, to service them and support them in the coming times. So we have today come out with tire pressure and temperature monitoring systems, where the performance of the tires can be tracked 24 by 7, and with this system they improve their safety, and they improve their productivity. And we have in the last Auto Expo in 2020, beginning of January, we have released our smart tires, the sensor enabled tires, wherein our customers can, instead of buying any ordinary tire, they can buy the smart tires, which are going to communicate with their machines, and that generates a lot of data, and on the basis of data they can work on further improvements, or increasing their efficiency. And we have a company, we have this indigenously developed sensors, and we have this company in Pune which is manufacturing the sensors, and the sensors are called Trill sensors. We have developed web applications for this also. The customers can purchase sensors, and they can download this from the Apple stores or Google stores, and they can immediately start using it. So before I talk, start talking about smart tires, let me tell a little bit about what is tire and what are the functions of tires. Tires is basically in a thick rubber ring, often filled with air, and which is fitted around a outer edge of the wheel of a vehicle, and that allows it to stick to the road and travel over the ground more easily. So basically a round object which is filled with air, and it is tied to your wheel rim, and and what are the functions? The function is basically to observe the shock, transform the traction and braking force to the surface, then help you changing direction, and it carries the load. But actually in case tires, what carries the load, it is not the in pneumatic tires, it is tire does not carry the load, it is the air inside which carries the load, right? So so the amount of air that I am putting in, or the kind of pressure that I am putting in a tire, is very important, because as a designer, when I am designing a tire, I am designing the tire to a certain shape. I have given a shape, and it has to flex to a designed level. But in operations, it happens that many times if the pressure is not right, it starts behaving differently, and once it starts behaving differently outside the design parameters, the chances of premature failures, premature removals are there. Similarly, another factor which is very important today for particularly for the OTR tire users or the mining customers, is the temperature, temperature for the tires, because temperature is the biggest enemy for tires. The reason why, tires are made from rubber. The rubber is initially, it is vulcanized, and after vulcanized, rubber sheets are prepared. Rubber vulcanization done, mixing rubber, then different chemicals and different oils, carbon black and other things. It's a very, actually it's a in a combination, or you can say it is a very complex chemistry of rubber, carbon black, chemicals, oil, and other things, steel and nylon fabrics. So it is a very complex chemical.
Mr. Devas is extremely sorry. Can you just finish your presentation?
Yeah, I'll just quickly give another 2 minutes. I'll just come. Yeah. So this why temperature is very important, because we normally after giving a shape, we are taking the tire for curing, wherein the tires are cured at a temperature of about 130 to 140 degrees centigrade. So in operations, if your operation reaches the temperature of close to the curing temperature, these tire components can disintegrate, and the compound reversions can take place, and your tires can fail. So we have Trill, which is a TPMS system that can give you temperature and pressure readings 24 by 7, and that can really help you in minimizing your cost of ownership of the assets, and they can really reduce your downtime and the cost of mining. And it is observed that in case of a 100-tonner truck, the average O&O cost, and if I compare with the tire cost come to about 10% of your O&O cost. But the same thing increases substantially when going for the bigger trucks, like your 240-tonner trucks. the same tire cost becomes a 20% of O&O cost in case of a 240 tonner truck. So this tire pressure and temperature is very, very critical to measure and monitor on a daily basis. And moreover, tire pressure checking is is a matter of comfort for human being. It is sometimes people do not really go, your engineers or your supervisor do not go to the site in the hot summer on a rainy day and check and really record the data. If data is not available correctly, what kind of a diagnosis will make. So you have this TPMS system which we can 24/7 you can monitor and record the data, and you can make your assessment or your adjustments accordingly. So how this TPMS system works? We have the sensors that is fitted to the tires, and you have a receiver. It is mounted on the chassis of the machine, and you have a pod inside the cabin, the driver's cabin. Now these sensors, they send signals to your receiver, and the receiver sends the signals to your pod, and the pod in turn through GPS it communicates with the TMOS on the cloud. So your data is stored on the cloud, and the same can be downloaded to your computer systems, and you have JK Connect, the analytical software tools is there where the data will be downloaded and the data can be analyzed. So this is this is very convenient tool available where the customer can fit smart tires, and they can monitor their tires round the clock. This is how in case you can set the alerts in your application, wherein you can set if your temperature goes above 75 degrees centigrade, then you can set an alert. It will send alert to your mobile app or your email, and you can call your truck to the bay and do the correction or do the adjustments. Similarly, we the software is available on the TMS web where the data can be analyzed. And we also not only tire temperature and pressure sensors, we can also integrate your fuel sensors, your RPM sensors, or your engine off sensors, or asset utilization sensors. More sensors can be integrated to this, and those options are available on a customer request basis, and we can work on providing all the assistance in terms of this sensor technology to customers.
Ladies and gentlemen, now in this session of B2B Purchase webinar on technology leap in mining and crushing, we are going to welcome Mr. Sanjeev Naik of Equipage Infracore. Mr. Naik is the Managing Director of Equipage Infracore Private Limited, a company deals in construction, mining and industrial equipment based in Odisha. Equipage represents companies like Sani Heavy Industries, Pozzolana Machinery, Fabricators and Nagoda Machinery. Mr. Naik will give us the ground realities of mining equipment market in India. So let's welcome Mr. Naik.
So as addressed by Mr. Roy, we are organized a one-stop solution for construction mining equipment in the state of Odisha. Since this is a mining specific, I'll come to mining specific discussion. In Odisha, we are fortunate to have coal and non-coal, both kinds of mining available. Coal is a lot with overburden removal, and then the core deposit of coal, which requires post drilling, blasting, sizing, crushing. Non-coal, we have also reserve of iron ore, which is massed in our area of Barbil in Keonjhar district. We have a lot of infrastructure projects going on. So blue metal quarrying, that is the stone chips aggregate as we call, is also a big sizable industry. That also adds to bauxite. We have aluminum industries here, and we have limestone to supply to the cement industries around the country, which Odisha supplies. So these are the mining industry that we have. We are fortunate to get connected to more or less all the industry operators in the state, because we have crushing solutions, we have excavators and loaders, we have drilling and compressors to operate the mines 24 hours. We have the lighting solutions from Doosan. We have Sani heavy line mining trucks, and we have also the Tata Motors, Tata Authorized Service Station in western part of Odisha and Jharsuguda. So what this product does? This product does effective professionals output. The product has to be reliable, dependable because depending on the equipment, on the transporting vehicle work, the efficiency of the miner goes up or down. So we, as a authorized, organized dealer player, we have 11 branch locations across the state of Odisha, which is spread over 450, 500 kilometers, one end to the other end. 11 branch locations. We have headquartered in Bhubaneswar, the capital city, and we have Western Odisha head office in Jharsuguda. About 150 people work in this company. It's 2009 formed by myself after my 14 years of industry experience with Ingersoll Rand, Caterpillar, Bosch, a company called Cabotech, and then ICICI Bank for a couple of years in the equipment finance. The holistic experience added to start a organization in the state of Odisha, which is adding good value to my customers. We do innovative approach. It's just not sales, service, and spare parts. We give full kind of annual maintenance contract and on-site service. We also have a rental division with 30 plus equipments in our fleet, which is gradually being added year on year. And we are parallelly creating a used equipment business line. So customers get an immediate solution and sometimes cost-effective solution for improved revenue realization. So support goes well. We have service vans. We have people who are experienced. We retain talents, and we keep stock in out of 11 branch locations, nearly 6 to 7 locations. We stock spare parts closer to the customers. So this this industry with the organized dealership network helps the customers to improve their work and productivity. And yeah, it's a good business to start if you have a fascination towards this business. If you want to be an entrepreneur, this is a good industry to work with. And I have enjoyed, after my 14 years of job, this is my 11th years of businesshood, and I'm enjoying the gradual steady growth. And yeah, we also have a rental division. As I said, we have nearly 32 machines and 55 blue collar operators on our board. And it's a challenging task, and we enjoy doing it. The demand has been fairly good, and all sectors of business is expected to boom from here, because till March the business was flourishing. Then, of course, all of us know 6 to 7 months has been a dead slow month for all of us. COVID-19, then monsoon is a slow month for us. And now we are expecting good business growth in the coming 2 quarters, at least till coming June. And the customers have started getting good work orders. We are getting good pipeline in business, and especially Burbil, where the iron ore mining is there. A lot of reorganizing of the mine owners has been done. Auctions has been made. People have been allotted mines. So as we have our coal subsidiary MCL, Mahanadi Coalfield Limited, that's also one of the profit-making good subsidy of Coal India Limited, CIL. So I'm expecting this market to boom. And so all kinds of product ranges I explained will definitely have a good demand.
While talking on the technology leap in mining and crushing, could you tell us that what kind of equipment, operation, and maintenance challenges you have noticed for your customers? If you can just highlight some of the challenges.
So I think one of the biggest challenges is around, like I mentioned, around surprise failures or sudden failures. And from a bearing perspective, I think that the typical challenge is when the contamination is happening in the bearing. So that is the highest source of equipment failure challenges that we have.
So how digitization can help in actually addressing these challenges and help in maximizing mining equipment productivity?
So like I mentioned that, the point is that by the time there is a sudden or a catastrophic failure of an equipment, or even if there's a noise in that equipment, it is already too late. The key to this is to have an early detection and early understanding of the problem and take care of it when the problem is just occurring. So for example, when you do this digitalized condition monitoring, what happens is you are measuring this the equipment either on a periodic level or on a continuous basis for critical equipment, you are able to detect early whether there's a problem is related to ingress of dirt, whether it is misalignment, whether it is looseness, whether it is that any other kind of failure that is there, and then you can take the corrective actions early. Lubrication failure is the biggest cause of failures of any rotating equipment, and this is a very important early indicator which can be prevented with timely interventions.
Mr. Sanjeev, you know the ground reality, you know the demand supply scenario, everything. So could you tell us what mining operators are expecting now? What kind of machines they need, and what sort of technology they need to maintain the profitability and reduce the.
Well, mining business is a very volumetric business, and they require good quality equipment with minimum downtime, and the support of the service providers. And I'm sure if that's a profitable business, if it works effectively locally in a mine zone.
So how to choose the best OTR for Indian mining conditions?
See, it is a very difficult question. It is like like many times when we work to customers, or we just start talking with the customers. The customer start asking how much your tire is going to last. So it is as difficult as that. It is like you are going to a doctor and asking him how long you are going to live. It depends on a lot of factors. Similarly, choosing a tire for the right application is very, very important. And normally my recommendation would be tire miners, for the miners, they should speak to their tire suppliers in selecting the right tires, because this can be arrived only after a proper assessment of the operating conditions, because performance of tire depends on so many factors. It is starting from the underfoot conditions, your maintenance of machines, your maintenance practices, your whole road maintenance, your dumper running speeds, and your type of dumpers. And tire life can again vary from dumper to dumper, operator to operators. So many variations are there. So keeping so many variations in mind, normally when we talk to a customer or recommend tires, we do a comprehensive study of the mindset, and we list out all potential risk parameters. Risk parameters could be the TKPH rating of the tires, or your cut resistance of the tires, or your practices that is being adopted. So based on that, we then come out to what kind of a compounding has to be there in the tire, whether the compounding has to be cut resistant compound, or it has to be a heat resistant compound, or it is to be a combination of both the all three compounds. Similarly, what kind of a construction you need to have. Based on our complete assessment, then we recommend the tire to the customers. The primarily, the customers should be, for deciding, we call, there is a term called as, TKPH, that is tons kilometer power. That is the capability, working capability of tire. How much, the tire can work. So customers can select, one is that TKPH, then the other underfoot condition, other factors. So club together, then we can arrive at what kind of a tire that you will be recommending. So you need a complete study of the site before you arrive at the kind of tire that you will be recommending to a particular mine.
See, the crushers are available from say 100 GPH to 500 tons per hour. So the first criteria is that what is the capacity that you are looking for? Okay, and then the second, what is the what is the application? Suppose there are applications where 2 stage is more than enough. So that means primary and only secondary. So the shape, that is the quality of the elongation flockiness, which is the criteria of the aggregate. So that if it is for that application, given application, if it is suitable, then that is okay. For example, commercial applications. Most of the commercial applications, they go for a 2-stage plant. For the road sector, this elongation flockiness has to be very it's a strict parameter. It should be less than 30%. So what they do is then you need to go for one more stage, PSI. And then the fourth one, sand. For example, the sand produced out of rock, again, it varies from place to place. Suppose if it is a soft rock, then the generation of superfines, that is 0 to 150 micron size, is going to be quite huge. So in which case, to comply to the standards, which are based on the successful practice, like IS 383 or IS 1542 standards, which restricts the amount of superfines to 20%, though people practice, around 10%. So you need to have a classification system in place, either wet or it could be dry, depending on the availability of water. Suppose if water is scarce, then you can go for air classifier or a dry screen, which removes the 0 to 150 microns, this superfines. Or if water is available, then the wet washing system, which removes these fines. So these are the and then what are the products that you need? It depends on that one also. Because, for example, suppose this, the customer needs to supply railway ballast to the supplier, then definitely the plant has to have a facility to produce railway ballast. So these are some of the factors, and then the area that's available, the license that's available, the quarry that is available. All these are various parameters that have to be considered in choosing a crusher.
Could you just briefly tell us that what was the impact of COVID-19 on your business?
As far as we are concerned, we are doing the business. Only thing, it was dull in April and May. Afterwards, we are really doing good. Pre-cold levels are better. So which is a clear indication that the field is really doing well.
Mr. Mitra, can we add?
Yeah, so it was different for different segments, and I agree with Mr. Doraiswamy, especially on stone crushing, which is construction related. There was a short dip for a couple of months, and then it's back. But when we talk mining, is more generic. It's also coal, it is also cement, etc. And there was not much of a slowdown. Cement also had a small blip, but then it was again back.
Compared to last year, we have almost slightly ahead of better than September was slightly better than last year, and October looks to be better than last year again. And I hope by H2, if things are going the way they are, I think we should be positive within next couple of months.
And I'm sure, as Mr. Khutia also said, that they have done October 2020 better than the last year. So that shows that industry is improving, and so as equipment also is seeming to be promising for the coming months.
There is a question for Mr. Doraiswamy. The question is from Mr. Shubro Malanbis. How are you using the data collected from the running plants apart from the conditional monitoring? So it's again intelligence in the machines. Mr. Doraiswamy, would you like to touch this?
See, basically, the data that is collected is, one is the production data. So the production data that is collected is actually fed into a computer, and then it is similar to the SCADA. Okay, so that data collected is in the required format per day, what is the per hour production, what do you eat in each product. So that data is collected, and also the uptime of each machine, how much the compressor, how many hours it has worked for a given shift, and cone pressure. So these data are collected, and then dashboard is created. For a customer, for the owner, he wants to see how much is the end of the day, how many tons I have crushed, and how many hours my plant was up, how many hours my plant was down. If it is down, what is the reason? So it clearly gives an indication of whether the intended crushing is done, and then also added to that, they can add in the software, okay, how much is the ton that is sold. So ultimately, he knows the business also at the end of the day. So like this, the frequency also can be set, whether you want once in 2 hours or once in 6 hours. or once in a shift. So the data is collected and then it is put in the required format and it is flashed to the owner. Okay, so he will have an access to the data and he will have the idea of the performance of his plant.
Do you have any solution for predictive monitoring of slurry pumps and hydrocyclones?
So we need to understand that there are two kind of monitoring that happens. When you have a SCADA system, it of course monitors the operation of the plant and the process parameters. But when you look at, because I'm bringing this up because they was talking about condition monitoring specifically. In reliability, the vibration is something which is different. And that is typically, while the higher alarm is what is done in a typical automation thing, you need a little more diagnostics when you're trying to make a proactive judgment on when the equipment will fail. So you have to see both of these in parallel. The automation equipment is absolutely important for the running of the machinery, but it's an option on whether you want to have condition monitoring in terms of vibration or not, depending on what kind of reliability you're really looking at for your equipment. That's just a small addendum. Coming to the second question, like for any pump and motor, again, we have a lot of motor monitoring solutions. And again, depending on the criticality, you decide what is the frequency of the checking that you need to do for these equipment. So for example, if it's a very critical equipment, we would have a 24/7 online monitoring system. If it is not critical, you will decide. We need to look at what we call a criticality matrix, which means that if this equipment fails, what is the impact on your production? What is the impact on safety, health and safety? What is the time to repair, etc. And based on that, you make judgments on which equipment needs to be monitored how often. Because it is not possible to have online condition monitoring for every equipment. It is possible, it's just too expensive and it's not necessary. So depending on that equipment and where it is sitting as a part of the process, we can put in the system. All of them the data gets uploaded to the cloud and they are monitored through the same software. It is the frequency of monitoring that changes.
We have three type of machines. That is the simple bucket washers, which can be used to wash the sand. And then we have a Pro Wash series. This is a Pro Wash. We have a like washing system with Cyclone, and we have a Eco Wash where the another washing with bucket, double washing, that is bucket followed by Cyclone. So we have three types of washing machines. Apart from that, we also have like a thickener system, which helps you to maintain the quality of sand over a period of say 1 month or any like a given time, because the in the systems without washing, without thickener, the water is likely to get contaminated over a period of time unless you control it, unless you maintain the replacement of fresh water. So this thickener helps. So we have a complete solution for washing of sand.
That how can ground stuff be trained digitally? Because training is going to be crucial, whether it's Mr. Devas's, Kuntia's smart tires, or whether your crushing machines, or even the kind of sealants or bearings, or the solutions Mr. Mitra offers. So how can ground stuff be trained digitally? Because that is the challenging factor, and it's very difficult and different terrain mining machines are employed.
Well, it's a very interesting question because how do you train people to do physical maintenance on an equipment digitally?
Right.
You can. So there are two parts to it. One is the mechanical service on the field, which obviously needs to be done on the field. I mean, you can have instructive videos, but they can only help up to the point. But in terms of, and we have certain self-learning tools that help people to learn these kind of techniques, including condition monitoring, etc. But definitely on the diagnostics, etc., this can be done remotely. So the two are different. One is how you actually carry the corrective action on the field, where I think the best training has to be hands-on, either at customer location or it could be at a central facility. But the diagnostics part can be taught online now. And I think that the one thing that the pandemic has done is it has increased the amount of trainings that are being offered now online. And the way we are transferred, I mean, everybody is so comfortable with Zoom or Google Classrooms or Teams, whatever it may be. And that's the way it's going, that's the way I see this going forward, actually.
I have a question for Mr. Mitra again. Mr. Mitra, you just touched on a kind of futuristic development what SK is doing. That's the AI-based tools you are going to launch with the acquisition of a company, Egypt-based, if I'm not wrong. So could you tell us more that what kind of intelligence or artificial intelligence it's going to bring for the mining segment, or is it particularly for the mining segment, or it's for all of your products?
It is really more at the asset level that these are being done, but those are, I mean, so Crusher will be one of the assets. Okay. So essentially, for those of you who understand the concept of digital twin, and the way the digital twin works is that the whole endeavor is to make a digital model of that physical equipment, which means not just in terms of the dimensioning of it, but also the functionalities that are built into it. Now, how the digital twin typically works is that into this you kind of model in the kind of cause and effects that happen when the equipment is in operation. What is unique about our solution, which is the company that we've acquired, and for those who are interested, they could just search for SKF Presenso on Google. PRESCNSO is the company. So what they have done is they've created a generic model into which, so it's for a pump, a motor, a gearbox, a crusher, etc. And you need to upload the historical maintenance data. Now, based on this modeling, it is able to create a predictive analysis about based on the inputs that are coming in terms of failures, etc. The other very important thing about this model is as you install this model and you start working on it, depending on whatever interventions that you're doing, it keeps learning and it becomes more and more intelligence over time. The whole idea is that when you're getting into a kind of a solution which is into hundreds of assets, it frees up the engineering bandwidth to focus on the critical ones, and it takes care of more of the, let me say, lower criticality problems on its own in terms of giving reports and things like that. So, but please do look. It's a very complicated concept, and honestly, that implementation is also a very big journey. But please do look up SKF and then Presenso, PRESCNSO, and there are a lot of interesting insights there on predictive analysis and artificial intelligence for people who are interested.
One more question for Mr. Doraisamy. How effective and helpful is the digitalization in calculation and optimization of operating cost of the crushing plants?
This is it's really helpful because you get very accurate data, and like consistently you will be able to get it. Because otherwise, it is like even this crushing business, there are even like commercial installations where even pilferage is also possible. Maybe a professionally managed concerns, okay, the chances of this whatever I say is not possible, but then it helps across the industry cross section. What will be the typical cost for this condition monitoring system, sir? Because as you know that suppose a jaw crusher or a cone crusher breaks down, bearing failure, the cost of the loss of production is quite huge. So this system is really going to help as long as it's affordable. Even this can be we can do it as a OEM, we can sell it. So what is the typical cost of this system, sir, which will help you predict you that my bearing will tell I am going to die. So then, before that only people will replace it, and they'll be able to take the best out of the machines.
Well, ideally, I'd like to give it to you free and charge you for every hour that you save on downtime. And that's the model that we are trying to drive. So, I mean, on a more serious note, yes, these costs can go from a few lakhs to a few tens of lakhs, depending on how many sensors. We have an 8-channel, 16-channel solution. We also have a single channel solution. But what we are trying to do, if you saw my model, is really to integrate this whole thing as a package solution where we say that, and we are actually taking these contracts where we are saying that, you pay us per ton of your crushing, you pay us per hour of your operation. And we are ready because we have confidence in the value that we bring to you. And you are absolutely right. The downtime costs are massive. So we will take care of those and we will can create a commercial model around that. In fact, just to let you know, for a large public sector steel mill, we are doing the whole re-rolling plant management, roll shop management, where we are being paid per ton of steel produced. That's it. We want to take the cost equation out of this and talk about uptime. We want people to see that we are going to help you in your uptime and charge you for your uptime.
Mr. Devasis, I have one question to you. Is the existing tires, is it retrofittable, this sensor system, what you are?
Yes. I said, these sensors are available in Amazon. You can directly buy them, and it's very simple to fit. You can go take these sensors to any tire shop. They can fit it in your existing tires. That can be easily done. Absolutely, it is very simple to fit.
I think we need to talk about digital and how this will enable us, not just in terms of creating dashboards. And when people talk about digitalization, see how it impacts you in terms of actual productivity, uptime, and profitability for your business. Take that lens and see who are the people who can support you on this. And that's the way we will be going forward.
So thank you, panelists, for exchanging your valuable thoughts on today's topic, B2B purchase webinar on technology leap in mining and crushing. Delegates, we hope you have enjoyed the session. Before wrapping up today's session, we would like to thank our distinguished panelists, Mr. Sumit Mitra, Mr. Debashish Kuntia, Mr. Durai Shami, Mr. Sanjeev Naik. Thank you so much, sir. I would also like to thank my editor, Mr. Prasad Nair, for taking this initiative. It's a great initiative. Thanks to all the delegates and viewers.
Thank you.
So with this, we would like to announce closing of today's session. Request you to stay tuned for more such sessions. Thank you and goodbye.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir.